righty, well, this is exciting. We are in Columbus, Ohio. It's great to be on the road and great to be alongside Bret Baier. We're speaking with some of the voters.
Yeah, what do they want to hear from the Senate candidates? Democratic Congressman Tim Ryan, Republican J.D. Vance. Thank you all for coming early.
But, I'd like to start, first of all, thank you all for coming in. Let me just ask a show of hands. Do you think the country is headed in the right direction? Or, well, let's do it this way. Do you think the country's headed in the wrong direction? Almost everybody. A half a hand over there, but maybe a little bit. So who would like to tell me why?
Yes, ma'am. Kimberly?
Yes. Well, I believe that, no one is really paying attention, number one, to post-COVID. We know exactly what happened when COVID erected. And I believe that, people talk a good game, but when it comes to actually fixing the economy, nobody is doing that. You gave away a whole lot of money that people probably didn't need. So basically now in our economy, you got people who don't want to work. So a lot of businesses have shut down. They're not going to reopen, and nobody's paying attention to that. And that goes hand in hand with the inflation. So we know everything is rising, but the dollar is decreasing, and people are suffering. And we have to understand, why people are not working. And we can't always just give. Sometimes people got to take, but we got to make sure that there's an equilibrium so we can create a win-win situation.
Can I just ask you a quick question? Why do you think people aren't working?
Well, I believe that sometimes when you just give, people take, and sometimes they believe that there's always going to be a Band-Aid to help them. But we live in a concept called democracy, and we have a workforce. And in order for the economy to grow and for us to look out for our young people, we have to make sure that we teach them the right way, that we have to work for the things that we want. Not that it's not okay to get help, but it's not okay to rely on help.
How many of you think inflation is the biggest issue this election cycle? Okay. Well, you're kind of half and half in the back there. Let's see, Joe?
Yeah, I think that it's inflation and the economy. I think that at the end of the day, it's not just the price of things, but how many people are working, how much money they're making, if they have the opportunities to get those jobs. There are a lot of jobs in the country. We need a big workforce, but we also need to make sure people have the opportunities to get to those jobs. So many jobs now are requiring college educations, but there are so many jobs out there that don't require college educations or shouldn't require college educations. Let's make college more accessible for people so they can either get those opportunities or make sure that we are providing alternate ways to maybe do a 2-year trade school or doing something that will prepare you to join the workforce, fixing our high school education, making sure people are ready to enter their workforce, and that there are jobs ready for them.
Yeah. Joe, thanks.
I want to ask you what you think about these two candidates. So, yeah, what do you think about Tim Ryan and J.D. Vance, having watched them campaigning over the last many months?
Tim Ryan has spent his entire career really fighting for the people of Ohio, working to bring jobs to our state, working to make sure that, we bring good-paying union jobs to our state, something that we desperately need. And there's no better way to, I think, look at that than the clean energy revolution. We're talking about the opportunity to take action on climate change and bring jobs and investment into our state. Meanwhile, J.D. Vance is coming back from California, where he spent most of his adult life working with millionaires, not working for the people of Ohio. And he's saying that there is no climate crisis. We don't need this investment. We don't need the Inflation Reduction Act in Ohio. I find that hard to believe when we have thousands of jobs coming to our state, good paying union jobs in Toledo, Youngstown, in electric vehicle manufacturing, in solar manufacturing and battery manufacturing for electric vehicles. J.D. Vance will not deliver those jobs, but Tim Ryan has shown time and time again that he's going to go to the Senate and he's going to fight for Ohioans, not for the Democratic Party and not for the Republican Party.
The Untold Story continues right after this.
There's a mix of people here. John, you're a Vance supporter, is that fair?
I am.
And why is that?
I think that one of the things that I'm concerned about is what we've seen under what I call the Biden administration, because of the influence of the first 2 terms of Obama, is really what has been kind of a controlled destruction of large parts of our economy. First with the shutdowns under COVID, and then with the rules that were enacted the day that Joe Biden came into office to shut down drilling, fracking, and that type of thing. And now we have a major energy crisis around the world, and that's leading to a food crisis. We are in serious, serious trouble. So when I look at the two candidates, I know Tim Ryan won't help, but I think J.D. Vance will.
How many of you would like to see more fracking in Ohio, more tapping into the natural gas resources? 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe. And you agree.
Half.
You know, so tell me a little bit about why you think that fracking is needed at this point. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I mean, I think it's important that we're energy independent. I mean, under the Trump administration, regardless of what you think about Trump, we were energy independent. We were exporting oil. Gas prices were low. I mean, $1.50 lower. I keep track of how much gas I purchase. I was paying $1 more per gallon this past summer over the last summer. And I think it's also important, though, that, you know, this election isn't just about the economy. I think we are kind of forgetting about the last election in Virginia with Glenn Youngkin. I think social issues, you know, like what's being taught in our classrooms, those are all really important issues in Ohio still, too. The economy. I work at a grocery store. People are coming into the store. You know, they're paying $50, $100 more per, you know, visit than they were in the past years, and that's also a problem. And so, you know, the economy is important, and, you know, we've spent a ton of money as a government, but there's a lot of issues that I think we need to be paying attention to.
Sophie, you're a student at Ohio State. How much do you think, to mention social issues, the issue of abortion affects things for you and for this state?
For me personally, I think that it affects me greatly. I am a pro-choice woman in the state of Ohio, and it is a right that I think I will probably never need to take advantage of, but it's a right that all women should be able to have the choice to be able to make.
So it's driving your vote or a factor in your vote?
It certainly is, and there are several other factors, I think, but abortion is definitely one that'll drive it.
So right now, I believe in Ohio, abortion is legal up to 22 weeks. So does anyone think that that will change? Go ahead in the back, sir. Is it Joe?
Yeah.
Joe, sorry.
I mean, you look at, you know, they passed the heartbeat bill a while ago, and it got struck down, or they weren't enforcing it or whatever, and then they put it into action. And then I think one of the judges in Cincinnati struck that down, but it's only temporary.
Brew, did you raise your hand?
Oh, that it does affect us? That it's going to change? Yeah, I think so. J.D. Vance has said that he does not believe in the reproductive rights for women, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
And Tim Ryan has. I think he believes that women, reproductive decisions should be between a woman and their doctor. And I think Ohio is headed in a direction where they're going to ban abortion completely.
Jeff?
I don't think it's a factor in this race. The opposition just stated that it's a state right. J.D. Vance being a senator is not a policy you could affect from that. It's just a state issue that goes to the state legislature and the state senate. So I don't think this election for the Senate impacts it.
You look like you'd like to say something, ma'am. Go ahead.
I'm a woman living in Ohio, and the suppression of women and our bodily autonomy and reproductive freedom has large repercussions in our state. Economically, socially, we need women's health care, and this is 2022. We have the medical knowledge, we have the science, we have the equipment to save people and babies, and we are now not allowed to use them.